All right, so here we are. Today it is July 2nd. It is the Canada Day long weekend for all of you who are in Canada. We are currently in Toronto right now. To my left, I have,
Jungle Royalty.
and to my right,
C6.
and what does C6 stand for, sir?
Champu 6.
Champu says, and for all of you who don't know what champu means,
Short for Papi Champu, ya tú sabes.
ya tú sabes. All right, so we are here today to talk about the Drake album named Scorpion, or called Scorpion. Take two. So we are here today to talk about the Drake album called Scorpion. What did you guys think about the album?
Blessed. I give it a 7.5 out of 10.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's weird. I actually give it a 7.7 out of 10.
Explain the 0.2 above that.
That's just the number that I came up with because I wanted to be extra.
True.
I gave it an 8, a solid 8, because I just liked all the songs and I felt like I could connect to it. So
It was a good album. It was good. I felt like this album in particular, I feel like he strategized well on the side A, side B thing, hip hop and like R&B side, right? The fact that it had 25 tracks, and in each song, I didn't feel that urge to like stop and like maybe come back to it, right? Like with each song, I kept like say, all right, I'm ready for the next track. I liked it. So I think the fact that the level that he brought in with that amount of tracks, especially nowadays where the attention short span is super short, I guess. Solid album. Liked it.
Alright, so people don't really want to hear my opinion because I've been like the most biased Torontonian that's ever existed. I have not been a Drake fan. It's nothing against the guy himself. I think he's a very talented guy to be able to go from acting. I remember seeing his first video on BET on 106 in Park. He was introduced with that song Replacement Girl with Trey Songz. That was the track that I couldn't believe. I'm like, wow, this guy's from Toronto. He made it. He's on 106 in Park, so that was awesome. But his album, like, I just wasn't feeling his first album. I didn't really like most of his body of work. I like the mixtape Drake, right? When he was doing that stuff with Lil Wayne. That was awesome, mixtape Drake, at the very beginning.
First started out hungry.
Yeah, you know, and that...
All artists, I feel like, when they come out, like, that's like... They always want to show what they can do. They're not peaking, but at the same time, they're starting their peak, right?
Yeah, and during that time, I think he was writing a lot of stuff for Wayne during that time, right? But fast forward to the present of 2018, and the Scorpion album came out on Friday, and it's already racked up how much? Like over 100 million plays, or something like that, like way over that. So that was expected.
I actually looked some. I read that he actually had 10 million streams per hour.
Per hour, yeah.
Yeah, it's insane. Like how many streams. The cool thing about this is this album was already destined to go platinum before it even came out. Right, platinum and I think double platinum, because of all the pre-sales and the anticipation of this album. So I feel like this album was destined to break records as it is, especially with the whole exposure with his beef with Pusha T and everything. And even though he didn't come with a comeback, because Pusha T really did slap him up on that that last track, you know what I mean? But I feel like at the end of the day, like, you know, you pick your battles, and I feel Drake did the smarter thing and did not fire back. And you know what? He's answering back with, 10 million streams an hour?
Right? Mm-hmm. So if we were to look at the actual numbers when it comes to Spotify streams, as of, the data that I'm looking at right now is a little outdated, but it says as of December 2016, I don't know if it's gone up already, but Spotify pays out approximately $100 after every 150,419 streams.
Damn.
Right? So that's pretty intense. That Drake most likely already made it, recouped. I don't know what his advance was for this album, but I'm pretty sure he's already recouped just on streams alone. And that's just on, one particular streaming service. Right?
Es verdad.
So yeah, so enough about the. Maybe we could talk about the business stuff a little bit more after, but it's gonna take out of the fun of talking about the actual music.
What was your favorite track?
What was your favorite track, Jungle Royalty?
Mob Ties.
Mob Ties. That was a dope track.
Mob Ties. Mob Ties was actually produced by Boy Wonder and Alan Ritter. And it has a sample in there. The only one that I actually caught was a sample that was by Alternate, which is like a old school dance track. So shout out to Alternate for that one. Free. Beep, 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 beep. Right, so yeah, so why did you like Mob Ties?
I don't know, I just automatically, anything with a bass, like, I get amped about that, so that was one of the main things that stuck out to me, and the way it switched up in the song, the arrangement of the song is what I liked. I liked how they structured it, and so it wasn't only about the lyrics, but more behind about the production of the actual song.
What about you, Mr. C6?
I'm gonna say there was a lot of dope tracks for me personally. I felt like overall all the tracks were good. There wasn't one really where I was like, eh. But I think overall everything was good. But if I were to pick one, aside from the ones that he already pre-released, like Nice for What was good. God's Plan was nice too. But if I'm going to pick one that wasn't like already teased, I'd say Is There More? I liked in particular how he sampled Aaliyah's.
Which track?
It was More Than a Woman. He sampled More Than a Woman. So at the end of the track, you actually hear the vocals of that track, right? You hear Aaliyah just going on, right? And what in particular for that song is that the More Than a Woman, I'll be more than a lover, more than a woman. They actually sampled it, but like if you hear the ambience background of it, it's actually her lyrics, but they just produced.
Yeah, I don't even think it was her. I think it was somebody else that sang it in that one, to be honest.
Could be.
I think so.
That part I don't know.
For me, my favorite track on the whole project was In My Feelings. For me, I just gave it that late 80s, early 90s in the South Bronx, even though I had known nothing about New York, but just what I've watched, like my idea of what the old school vibe was, that's what it was like. And I really liked it. It's a very summery type of vibe. I would like to know who Kiki is.
Ken and Kiki.
Kiki, do you love me?
Kiki Riki Riki.
Right, so I would like to know who that is. I'd like to give some credit to a lot of the producers that were on there. Right, No ID, he has a lot of production credits on this. Obviously, Noah 40 Shabib, shout out to you. Hopefully you start feeling better soon, brother. No ID actually produced all of Jay-Z's 444 album.
Damn.
Right, so that's big on that one. The one person that I was actually very surprised that I did not hear on this, I was actually very sad. I didn't hear anything from Frank Dukes or Vinyls. Like,
Who that though?
Vinyls is a Dominican producer, right, from New York, I believe. And he actually co-produced with Frank Dukes, Imitadora from Romeo Santos. They actually produced that, right? So they're very versatile producers. So shout out to you, Frank Dukes and Vinyls on that one. But why are you guys absent from this one? Like, I don't understand. Right? But kudos to you guys. You're still making some dope beats. That song with Jay-Z, what do you guys think of that one?
Oh, it was good. I liked it.
Talk Up featuring Jay-Z.
Yeah.
That one was produced by DJ Paul from 3-6 Mafia. Did you know that, Jungle Royalty? Are you a 3-6 Mafia fan? Or
I
were
know
you?
a couple of their songs.
Yeah, so DJ Paul, for the most part, he's been the brains behind most of the beats for 3-6 Mafia. Yeah.
There's a famous line that's been going around that Jay-Z throws around in there about the exact quote is give me one sec. I read it, but he basically says y'all killed X, but let Zimmerman live.
Oh yeah, the Jay-Z line, right?
Yeah, the streets is dead, right? So Pretty sick how he references
XXX.
XXX Tentacion a lot. I mean, there's I've seen a bit of controversy saying he's referencing Malcolm X. I personally think it has to do with XXX Tentacion, right? And the fact that chose to kill like a rapper, someone that coming up, but let someone like Zimmerman live, you know, is pretty powerful. Saying something, especially coming from a guy from Jay-Z. I thought that was very significant, especially in the track. And makes sense and relative to what's going on right now with the latest murder of XXX.
XXX.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually interesting. DJ Paul had no idea that Jay-Z was gonna be on the track until it happened. Like, he did not know. The beat was not intended to have Jay-Z on it. But that's where it came from. And this was a heavily sampled album. Like, I don't know if people understand how expensive this album must have been to produce. Because Just Nice for What, it has like 3 or 4 different samples on it. So to get those things cleared, I mean, each track has its own price. What it would cost to clear it, to get a license for it, to sample it. Right? So that must have been incredibly expensive. So now that I think about how expensive this album was to produce, who knows? Maybe Drake has not recouped. But I don't think he'll have a problem recouping with the tour schedule he's about to have with this album.
I'm pretty sure he's recouped and more.
Well, maybe.
At this point, like 10 million streams an hour, like already, like, I'm pretty sure it's either platinum or double platinum because they were calling it like right before it was even released.
Yeah.
Like it already had like a free pass basically from the pre-buys, pre-orders.
And they kind of make it impossible for you to avoid it on Spotify, which when it's like the first thing that shows up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's like definitely marketing.
Yeah, the marketing power is crazy there. Like, you're obviously gonna click it, even by accident. You might sneeze and click your mouse or something. Or if you're using one of those Apple weird touchpad mouse.
Mice?
You just
Mice?
Yeah, those mice.
Mice?
You might end up clicking something and just automatically going on there. Shout out to all of you Apple users who have been able to master that wizardry using the touchpad. I'm a PC person myself, so.
No, you're just a 90s person who actually just likes using a physical mouse.
All right, so moving on with the topic.
It's true.
There's a track in there called "That's How You Feel," and at the very end, there's a little bit where somebody was rapping. It was a female voice, and I was very excited. I thought it was MC Light or Roxanne, but I was actually very disappointed to find out that it was actually lyrics from Nicki Minaj. I'm not a Nicki Minaj fan, never have been. She's a product, in my opinion. So
You like Cardi B?
she's good for partying, but that's as far as that goes for me with Cardi B. I don't really have an opinion on her. Everybody has a different purpose into why they're in the music game. Hers is clearly not to make conscious music, but that's okay. There's people that make party music, feel good music, so that, you know, when you're feeling down, you need to be lifted. You don't want to be listening to people being blown up to pieces in certain songs all the time, right? And
Cardi B doesn't sing about blowing up.
no, I'm just saying, like, she clearly doesn't. That's why I'm just saying I'm putting her in her own category. I'm not going to compare her to somebody current like J. Cole or Kendrick when it comes to lyrical content.
So you like Kendrick?
No, I'm just saying when it comes to lyrical content, he's a little bit more. He has a little. It's
You're
for a
saying
more
he's woke.
mature audience.
You're saying he's woke.
I'm saying it's for a more mature audience.
True.
Yeah, everybody has their own interpretation of what woke is.
So Jungle Road, do you like Cardi B or not?
I do like Cardi B. I find her very entertaining.
Mm.
She says what's on her mind and she's not afraid to say it. Most people, you know, they feel like they have to speak with a filter over their face. So it's actually refreshing to be able to hear somebody, you know, just speak their mind and say
It's
what
true.
everybody else is thinking. Like, she's real and I like that.
I agree. See, you know what the thing about Cardi B is? Like, I feel like a lot of people, they like her personality, which makes it easier to accept her music.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So, for example, like, even when her album came out, I was personally excited too, just because fuck it was Cardi B, right?
Exactly.
Right, so like I think the difference between Cardi B and other artists, or especially female artists, is that she captures you before. So it's kind of like a, not like a tease, but she's sort of like almost seducing you with her like personality.
Yeah, exactly.
And then
she
gets you
pulls
to,
you
like,
in, and then
yeah.
afterwards it's like, here, listen to my music while you're at it.
Which is the true power of a woman. You know what I mean? Right? Gets you like with personality. Mario's trying to give me a high five.
All right, so there was a track in there that was featuring Michael Jackson. I know a lot of people are like, "Oh my God, Michael Jackson's dead. Like, how's he still making more music?" Well, it's just music that was already recorded from time. The Michael Jackson estate actually gave Drake permission to use this, and it was actually co-written as well. It was a hook, right, that they used from Michael Jackson, and it was co-written by Paul Anka. I don't know if a lot of you know who that is. I personally don't remember who that is, but I have heard that name before. But
Where's he from?
I have no idea, but I have heard that name before.
Do you know Paul?
I know a Paul. I know many Pauls. I know biblical Paul to Paul from work. I know many Pauls.
You know Paul Wall?
I've heard of the name Paul Wall. He's had some songs. He actually grew up in church. He was a Christian boy when he first started, and then all of a sudden he became Paul Wall with the grill.
Oh, he's the girls guy.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's yeah, Paul
So you
Wall.
went to
Shout out
church
to you.
with Paul Wall?
Sorry?
You went to church with Paul Wall?
I wish I went to church with Paul Wall. That way I can say I went to church with Paul Wall.
So you can't say you went to church with Paul Wall.
Definitely not. I'm not from Texas. That song, Don't Matter to Me, featuring Michael Jackson, it was produced by Noah 40 Shabib. I hope I'm saying your name right, brother. Noah 40 Shabib, or Shabib. And 1985. Good to see your name in the credits, in the production credits there. 1985. After Dark is a track that featured, and it has credits from Static Major. Rest in peace. There's a lot of vocals on this. A lot of vocals that were given credits in the background as background vocals or additional vocals. Some of those names, such as Toronto's own Baka Not Nice, Napalm, and I believe that name is from a group of some sort. Ty Dolla Sign. Ty Dolla Sign is a Woke Up a Rebel favorite. We actually went to go see him live when he came to Toronto at the Phoenix
Yes, we did for my birthday.
Concert Theater. So shout out to you, Mr. Ty Dolla Sign. That was an amazing concert. Some other names that I'm pretty sure are about to become pretty big. Big Freedia, Fifth Ward, Webble, and Glenn
Webble?
Shea, Bobby Jean Rowe. James Fauntleroy. It was actually pretty impressive to see James Fauntleroy's name and a couple of the credits in here for additional vocals. I remember back in like 2009, 2010, I had been hearing James Fauntleroy's name going around. I remember Timbaland had produced the track for him. Who's the Loser Now? It was a pretty dope track, and then I just never heard anything else from him again. I never followed R&B that hard. But it's pretty good to see that name pop up again. He has a very good voice. Party Next Door has some production and additional vocal credits on here. Nicki Minaj, like I mentioned earlier, bass ass bitch. Oh, sorry, boss ass bitch.
You're not allowed to swear.
DJ Booth. Future is on here. Lil Wayne, Magnolia Shorty and City Girls, Al Wood, Daniel Daly of Division does some additional vocals over here as well. I've heard some Division tracks. I can't tell you I know the name of any, but that's what's up. So overall, this Drake project, Jungle Royalty, we feeling it?
Yes.
Do you think it's Grammy worthy?
Oh, of course.
Do you think it's
Of course.
Grammy worthy, Mr. C6?
Definitely Grammy worthy.
It's definitely over.
He probably will win a Grammy for this.
Do you think he should? Do you think he'll win a Grammy because of the quality of the content, or just because it's Drake?
I think he's going to win the Grammy, honestly, just because of everything that's surrounded the whole situation with, like,
Pusha?
you know, Pusha
And the
T, the baby.
What about the baby?
The
Actually,
whole back and forth. The fact that he has a kid for real, and that's the way we found out about it. You know what I mean? Like, big
Of course.
excitement with that.
The
so.
famous line now that's getting mean, you know, I wasn't hiding my son from the world, I was hiding the world from my son.
Mhm.
I mean, you know, like, that's recovering with flair, like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, it completely makes you forget that Pusha T call him
A deadbeat dad almost.
deadbeat dad.
But here's something the Jungle
Right.
Royalty and I were talking about yesterday. And Drake is lucky that he is a man of color. Because at the end of the day, people of color, we don't see anything abnormal about the fact or out of the ordinary that this man was not acknowledging his child. Like, oh wow, he's normal, he's a human being. But if it was Billy Ray Cyrus not acknowledging his daughter Miley Cyrus, and we finally find out, that's a different story because you don't expect that from Caucasians, especially Caucasian artists. So I mean, it was pretty cool that the world would obviously accept the fact that Drake, he's normal, he's a normal man of color. At first it seemed like he wasn't acknowledging his child. People of color don't care about that stuff, people. We don't. I honestly didn't make anything of it. I'm just like, oh, he has a kid.
But I mean, like, people were judging him already. You know what I mean? Because that's
People,
not,
I'm pretty sure it wasn't
because
people
the type
of color.
of music, because the type of music that he makes, you wouldn't think that would come from him.
I think people were
You know what I
really
mean?
more judging the fact that they thought he didn't acknowledge the fact that he had a kid.
Exactly.
I think people were more butthurt that they didn't know. The audience
That's
didn't
true,
know.
too.
It had nothing to do with the fact that he was. It's just the fact that we as regular plebs didn't know that
You're a bloke.
that he had a kid. But everybody, Drake has a kid, and I'm just wondering, like, what kind of people are you exposed to? I hope that she's a wonderful young lady that you were willing to smash that raw, knowing that your boys have been smashing that raw.
I mean, he did say in his track that he only met her twice. It was a one-time, maximum two-time. I think it was March 14th. I could be wrong on the track. March 14th. He actually clarifies that, right? He clarifies.
That's
that,
right. That's right.
That he basically, it was a one-night stand. Is basically
It was a hit and run.
Hit and run.
Era un cojibete.
Yeah, tú sabes. It was supposed to be like a 1-2 time thing, but clearly ended up being
A lifelong thing.
an 18-year commitment minimum. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, he clarifies all that. I guess it happens. It could happen to anyone, right?
It happens to more people than we imagine. So that's why it's like when it comes to Latinos.
Has it happened to you?
This is our first podcast entry. I don't think that the audience needs to think negatively of me, Mr. C6. Thank you.
Well, so clarify it then.
All right, so I do not have any children. Any children that I have not claimed or unclaimed. None exist. Thank you very much.
As far as you know.
No, as much as I do know is that, my seed has not been sown and has not flourished. Right, so let's break this down. Let's wrap this up. Some pretty good productions. Like I said, I'm pretty disappointed that I didn't see a Vinyl's credit or a Frank Dukes credit. But, I mean, Boy Wonder's in there. You can basically tell when it's a Boy Wonder production. For me, I can kind of tell when it's the drums. So, yeah, shout out to Drake. I give this a solid 7.7 simply because of the fact that you're pretty real in this, bro. You're pretty real.
There's a lot of emotion for him to put it. That
Yeah.
he put in this, like both like a little bit of, you can sense a sense of frustration. There's, it feels while he's keeping it real, where he's trying to show his, I guess, his sensitive side, right? But he also shows his frustration, like, I'm upset. Like, there's no other track that's more.
I think the track should have been
Obvious.
called "I Got Booked." like that's his basic. And it's a very good way for him to play it off, getting the Degrassi cast in that music video. Actually, speaking of, let me just look this up right now. The Degrassi, what were they called? The one where Drake was on there. Which class was that? The Next Generation or the Next Class?
No, I'm not sure. I never really watched the show personally.
I think it was the Next Generation.
Could have been.
Degrassi with Drake. I used to watch it when.
Me too.
Let me see. I just wanted to see the name of somebody in the cast.
I remember when I started hearing him rap on Degrassi, I'm like, nah, you need to stop. then afterwards when he actually like.
So you originally hated.
I didn't like it. No, I was just like, stop.
Why?
Jimmy, stop it. Because I just wasn't used to seeing him rap. Like I was used to seeing him in a wheelchair, just
Okay, so shout out to Andrea Lewis. Like I saw you on in that music video, and I was actually very impressed. You look gorgeous, young lady. Andrea Lewis. Well, young woman. I don't know what to say.
She's probably older than you,
That's
bro.
what I'm saying.
Well, no, I mean Drake is only a year older than me, so maybe she could be my age, or maybe whatever. Andrea Lewis, you are beautiful, and I'm glad I saw you in that music video again. Time has just only made you better.
Special treatment. Look at that.
Yeah. So, Joe Royalty, what do you rate this album?
Didn't we do this already?
We did.
The last time
She
for the
gave it
audience.
an 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
C6,
Like I said, 7.5.
and Sequestro Music gives it a 7.7 because
I could be under, and that was just me like listening to it once and a couple songs repeat. But like my initial instinct, only reason why I'm giving it a 7.5, because after I finished listening to everything once, I was like, yo, 7.5. I'm pretty sure after another couple times I'd be like, yo, this is 15.
for real. Right. So yeah, that's it for today. This was our first podcast. We were talking about the Drake Scorpion album 2018. Leave your comments down below. Let us know what you thought of the album and any future topics that you would like for us to talk about. If you really enjoyed hearing us just blab about Drake or whatever topic. Just a little background information. C6 and Sequestro, we've known each other for about what? 15 years?
Something like that.
Something like that. Joe Royalty is part of Woke Up a Rebel with Sequestro, and we produce music and we DJ together. So you will see our website posted down below as well. You can look us up at wokeuparebel.com.
You can also check out my band, theachromatics.com.
Is that how you pronounce it? Achromatics? I thought it was the
Achromatics.
Achromatics. Sorry, my English is very good looking.
I know a lot of people say the achromatics, but it's actually the achromatics.
So shouldn't there be like a accent or a line
There should
above
not
it?
be one.
So they can be a hard A, like achromatics?
No.
Like Tiesto, you wouldn't think it was Tiesto, you would think it's
No.
Tiesto.
Achromatics.
Okay. So the achromatics, shout out to you guys. Yeah, bro.
So it's achromatics.com. Find us on Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah, and the person that's letting you know is probably one of the most amazing drummers and conga players in the world.
Alright.
So look them up. Right, so you can look us up at Woke Up a Rebel TV, right?
On YouTube.
So you can look us up on youtube.com/Woke Up a Rebel TV. And you can look up this podcast where we review the Drake Scorpion album. Enjoy listening to this. Thank you very much. Have a great time. And that is all.
Goodbye.